So I'll start with, I mean, the first time I listened to the album, the one thing that kind of sprung out to me was that you guys would be perfect for an Anti-Flag tour, and lo and behold, you're heading, you're heading out in January with Anti-Flag and Stray for the Path. I feel like it's going to be a very hostile environment for certain people that, you know, if they turn up at that kind of gig.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that being like our first big tour, because it'll be nice to have so many bands that like back what we're doing so strongly, so we're not like the one crazy outspoken band on the tour.
No.
So
I was going to say, because
hopefully no one crazy shows up, but I can't imagine why they would.
No. No, I mean, I did recently hear of one band. Who was it? It was the Svetlanas left a tour in the US, didn't they? Because they were out with the Barbed Wire Girls.
Okay.
And the Barbed Wire Girls had said that anyone was welcome at their shows, and including Nazi punks. And the Svetlanas were just like, no, fuck that. We don't play that game. We're gonna fuck on. We're going home.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting choice to almost invite the presence of, like, I debate with people, like, I'm okay with, like, Trump supporters and stuff being at our shows, like, please come talk to me, like, I want to understand where you're coming from, but that's very different than Nazis who want who advocate for genocide, and that's a very different thing, somebody, and they're not necessarily the same thing either. I've met plenty of Trump supporters who are, like, nice people. I think they're misguided, but I'm happy to discuss any kind of political stuff with them. But yeah, Nazi punks, people who don't like Jews, certainly not welcome at our shows, especially because I'm Jewish. So, I mean, you can come to our shows. It's not going to end well, but I can't imagine why any kind of a Nazi would want to come to a Sharptooth show. That just sounds like you're asking for trouble.
No, so. and then obviously add Stray from the Path and Anti-Flag into that, and yeah, you've got a very hostile environment for those types of people.
Yeah, we have no tolerance for no tolerance.
I mean, all three of those bands, and I'm not the other band that are out with you, I'm not massively familiar with, so I'm assuming they're probably of a similar vein to all three of you guys.
I don't actually know that much about them either, but I've been told that they're also like at least politically active, if not like super outspoken. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, that makes more sense, because I didn't know much about them either.
Yeah, it'd be weird to put kind of a pop punk band on that tour.
Yep. Full-blown political assault for 3 sets, and then just some easy listening.
Yeah, it's just something to bounce to.
Right.
But it's interesting because obviously all three of the bands that I've mentioned, you've all put out albums in the last year that either kind of openly or kind of subtly condemn Trump. When did the writing process of Clever Girl begin? Because I know you said that some of it was written obviously during the campaigning.
Yeah, so that album was written over the span of like a year and a half. Like, some of those songs were like some of the first songs I wrote in Sharptooth, and they just fit really well with what we wanted to do with the record, so they went in there. But then there were songs that I literally wrote in the vocal booth, or like parts of songs that like I finished writing while we were in the studio. So I'd say like probably about a year and a half. Like, I mean, when I joined the band, I didn't really have any expectations of what we were going to do or where it was going to go. I was just like, honestly, really stoked to be writing and making music with people who seemed really like-minded. So that really opened me up to feel comfortable writing about like more sensitive issues or more political stuff. But Fuck You Donald Trump specifically was written like it was during the summer of 2016 and like early, like spring, summer. So it was like when people were just starting to campaign for the election, and all of that was going on. So it wasn't ever really even supposed to specifically be about Donald Trump himself. It was more about like all the Republican candidates, because there were a lot of them and they were all a hot mess. So, but then once he got the nomination, then it was like, okay, yeah, we got to kind of point the finger more directly at him. So
yeah, because it always, even from this side of the Atlantic, it always seemed like sometimes you've got the best of a bad bunch. Like with the Republican candidates, there was just a bad bunch. From my side of things.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I can't imagine anybody who considers themselves a Republican had an easy time choosing, because I feel like even as far as like quote unquote Republican values go, it really was the best of a really bad bunch.
I mean, in terms of recording the album, did you guys sign to Pure Noise with the album already done and in the bag, or did they?
No, we recorded the album summer of 2016, and then we signed to Pure Noise in May of 2017. We didn't announce until September of 2017.
That was.
No, so we decided we wanted to do a full-length record. We decided we wanted to record with Paul Levitt, because he's like the best in the area, and he's worked with a lot of friends of ours. And so we just saved up money to go in and do it ourselves. We actually, after we finished the record, I personally like emailed it to like 30 different record labels, kind of like fully expecting to not hear back from anybody.
Yeah.
And we didn't, because who the hell are we? We have no other, this is our first record. Who's going to give a shit about us, and who's going to look at my email, probably just went into like everybody's spam folder. But in April of 2017 was when we hooked up with Davey from Vanna as our management, and he sent the record directly to Jake at Pure Noise. And like, it's actually really funny, because Davey asked to be our manager. Like, he shot me a text. Him and I have been friendly for a while, and we were talking over text about him working with Sharptooth, and he was like, can you send me the record? Do you mind if I send it to some people? I was like, yeah, sure. This conversation went over the course of like 15 minutes. And then he called me back like freaking out like 20 minutes later, being like, Lauren, pick up your phone. Pure Noise is interested in the record. I'm like, wait, what? Like, okay, I guess this is happening. Like, we weren't even like officially like being managed by Davey when all of that happened. So it literally all happened in the course of an hour while I was at work one day. So it was pretty nuts. Very unexpected.
Went with the right manager then.
Huh?
You went with the right manager.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, he has a good relationship with Jake, and yeah, that was definitely the move. And he really aligns with like the fact that we're not just making music, that this is like that our activism is such a big part of what we're doing as a band, and he is very much on board with all of that. He's really excited about it. So we love Davey. He's been great. He's really wonderful.
I mean, I still struggle to believe that it was the first kind of full length album, because the way it's been put together, and do you know what I mean? Like, everything works so well. Like,
thank you.
It's so rounded that it feels like a band that have been kind of out there and fighting that fight for years.
Well, it's like, in a way, we had been, just not in that band. All of us came from other projects that either weren't going anywhere or it wasn't the direction we wanted to do. And it really was kind of like the stars aligning, that this particular group of people found each other and we're all on the same page with what we wanted to do. And it's like we were finally getting to exercise all the things we'd been wanting to do with musicians. And it just works. I mean, I don't know, Sharptooth just works. Like, as a group of people, as musicians, as like, it somehow works, and it's very serendipitous, and I just kind of sit back and enjoy it, because I don't know, you can't manufacture it.
No. I mean, did you guys all kind of know? So you guys kind of all knew each other before you joined the band?
Sort of. So Lance started the band. Lance is our lead guitarist, and him and Keith, our rhythm guitarist, have been good friends for a very long time. They asked me to join almost exactly 3 years ago, and I knew them very, very, like, casually, just, like, through the music scene and through shows. But all of us had been in other bands and, like, had seen each other's other bands and was like, oh, okay, you know what you're doing, type of deal. So they actually contacted me and were like, we have a project we're doing. We want a woman as a vocalist, and we know that you're, like, super, like, politically active. That's kind of what we're going for. We want you to have free reign to say whatever you want. And I was like, that sounds great. Like, sure, why not? My other band was kind of winding down at that point, so I was looking for new projects. And then Phil, our bassist, is, like, one of my best friends. And he'll tell anybody that he wasn't asked to be in Sharptooth. He was told that he was in Sharptooth. Because I was like, yeah, we need a bassist. Phil, you're our bassist now. He's just like, okay.
It's a good way to...
Connor was in a band called Postseason. He's still in Postseason. But we'd had a hard time, like, finding drummers who were a really good fit. We'd worked with a bunch of people, and Connor was just very, very down for what we were doing. Message-wise, he's so technically proficient, and he's just super fun to be around, so it worked. I mean, I love every member of this band like their family.
Yeah, because it's interesting you say that obviously they kind of wanted you, because I know you've said in interviews that you very much went into the band saying, this is what I want to do, compared to obviously the Chompers EP. So it's interesting that they kind of came to you. They obviously knew what they were going to be getting from you. It's not like you walked in there and went, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. And it was pretty clear, like, when we had, like, our first practice together, how well, like, we jived as a unit, especially, like the core group of, like, me, Lance, and Keith, because Phil and Connor came along a little bit later, but our writing worked really similarly, and our, like, personality-wise, everybody got along so well, and it was pretty evident, like, right from the get-go. It was like, this is going to be really good, so I was excited about it.
Yeah. I was reading about, obviously, when you guys perform, and something that I picked up on was the fact that you obviously openly talk about sexual assault at all of your shows, which I actually saw Ren from the Petrol Girls do something similar at Rebellion Fest in Blackpool. Which I found it's a very powerful thing when it happens and when you see it live. But is there a point in the set where you kind of do you know when you're going to mention it, or is there a point and do you start thinking about it ahead of time? Because it's a very to open yourself up and talk about that stuff is very powerful and empowering, but it must be kind of nerve-wracking at the same time.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that's like you figure out ways to talk about it that I've had to think about it as, okay, how can I use what I'm going to say to connect with the most people in the room, while also putting myself out there and being like, yeah, this is personal to me, this is why it matters to me, this is why it should matter to you. So a lot of times depending on what I want to say before songs, sometimes I'll write it down to make my idea and my concept more concise and more effective. Yeah. I don't think I've ever talked about, so I pretty much always talk about the sexual violence stuff before Left 4 Dead, because Left 4 Dead is the song that's about that. Yeah. So I talk about, for the most part, I clue people into what each song is about before we play it, so that even if you don't, like, understand all the words, you know the vibe, you know what we're talking about, you know where we're coming from. So nobody's going to come to a Sharptooth show and walk out and go, wait a minute, they don't like Donald Trump? Like, I don't understand. That's a shock. So, yeah, we're very explicit before pretty much all of our songs. So, yeah, I talk about sexual violence before Left 4 Dead. already like preparing to play that song, so I can kind of get into that mental space of where I need to be in order to put that information out there. It's like one of those weird things that you get used to.
Yeah.
And there's some days where it sucks and it's really hard to talk about. Like, I've definitely played shows where I haven't felt like super comfortable, but like you do it anyway because it's not about you anymore.
Yeah.
It becomes about the people you could potentially like talk to or interact with who might get something from you saying it. So sometimes you gotta kind of put on the armor suit, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I found, like, when the Ren from the Petrol Girls did it, I think that's why I found it so powerful, is that because we were at a festival that I always associate with kind of that old school sexist kind of punk mentality. Like, I think that's why I found it so powerful, because part of me was like, oh, they're not going to say anything because these douchebags aren't going to listen, and then it's like, oh no, fuck, she did, and they do seem to have taken it in. It's interesting that you write things down though, because obviously, like, when I'm doing interviews, I always have these in my head, know what I'm going to say, but I have to write it down because otherwise I'll just get jumbled up.
Yeah, I basically this sounds kind of crazy, but basically a lot of times I'll do it when I'm driving. I'll basically kind of like rehearse things that I like think would be important to say, especially if I want to talk about something a little bit different, because even though all the songs the meaning of the songs like pretty much stays the same, the direction that you can take discussing the topic can change.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, oh, this is a point that I really want to make before this song because of something going on in my life, a lot of times I'll literally drive around and just talk to myself in my car, coming up with different ways to say things that are more effective or can reach the most people, or that sound the best even. And then I'll jot down like things that I'm like, I want to make sure I touch upon that. I want to make sure I touch upon that. I want to make sure I say that. And like, even sometimes like I'll have an idea of what I want to get up and say, and something will completely change during the set, and I'll want to go in a totally different direction with it. I try to stay open to wherever that creative process takes me. But yeah, I do like to plan a little bit, especially because I like to write, so it gives me another outlet to write.
Yeah, and there's nothing, let's be honest, there's nothing worse than when you know someone's just scripted the bits between songs. You can always see it if you go to see like an older band or like a pop band, like they've properly scripted what they're going to say. It's hideous.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we definitely don't want it to be like that. I want to be open to wherever the night takes us. I'll have ideas of what I want to say, but typically don't script it word for word.
No. Bullet points. Bullet points are the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like an outline.
Yes. I obviously read quite a few interviews prior to this one, and something you mentioned in the one was kind of the stigma of the term kind of female-fronted band, which I'll admit to probably have been guilty to using in the past, which I'm looking back kind of hate. But I mean, how
I'm sure we all have, honestly. Like nobody's born woke, so.
Yeah. How far away do you think we are before promoters and kind of the press are going to stop focusing on kind of gender as the defining factor of a band?
Well, I feel like people are already starting to do it, which is very cool. Like, I feel like there's already been so much change even since I've joined Sharptooth. So, yeah, there's a story I tell all the time about how somebody put our genre on a show, like on the Facebook event. They listed all the band's genres. They're like, oh, this is a like hardcore from DC, or I don't know, like thrashy grindcore band, like to give you an idea of what the show's gonna look like. And they literally just put female fronted as our genre, and I was like, that tells people nothing except my gender, which tells you nothing about the band. Like, It's like, it's like, what are we, female fronted, like, folk rock? Am I gonna get up there with a tambourine? It's like, come on. It's not my gender isn't a genre. No. And a lot of times now, on the other hand, people won't even mention it. They'll just be like, hardcore band from Baltimore, or melodic hardcore, or we try to, one of our things is co-ed hardcore, because we want it to, because it's for everybody, you know? And there's a lot of topics that pretty much anybody can relate to, so I like co-ed hardcore.
So it's a nice term.
Yeah.
And it does make it more welcoming and inviting somehow.
Yeah, well, because there's still, the thing that is annoying is there's still so many people out there who go like, oh, I don't like female-fronted bands. It's like, well, first of all, all female-fronted bands musically aren't going to sound the same. So that's a stupid thing to say. And second of all women don't sound the same. We played a show a couple weeks ago, and it was like 3 bands with femmes as front people, in a row, and it was so cool, but literally none of us sound the same, and none of us sound the same vocally either. A lot of times I've even had, people listen to us and go, wait, that's a girl? It's like, yeah, people have so many preconceived notions about what a woman can do vocally, when in fact we all sound totally different.
Yeah.
So
it'd be like putting you, the Bomb Pops, and Bad Cop in the same what's it? You're all completely different.
Why? It would make no sense.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just because you've all got you've got a female frontman, but you're all completely different bands.
Yeah, and if that's something that was intentional, if they're oh, we wanted to do a femme-fronted thing, mixed genre, just to make it for anybody, some type of event like that,
yeah,
that's cool, because that would be the point. But it doesn't make sense to categorize us with bands that don't sound like us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In an album,
you wouldn't say that we're like Sharptooth for fans of Lady Gaga because it's a woman singing.
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Although I love Lady Gaga, she's great. But
have you watched the documentary?
I haven't yet.
Oh, me and my wife watched it. Me and my wife watched it the other day.
Our TV's been broken, and we just got a new one today, so that's on my list of things to watch.
Oh, it's great. Me and my wife watched it Thursday, Friday. It's so good.
I've heard great things, so I've been really looking forward to watching it.
That and the Jim Carrey documentary.
Okay.
That's really good as well.
All right.
It's the Jim Carrey. A load of behind-the-scenes stuff of when he filmed Man on the Moon.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you like Kaufman and Jim Carrey, it's perfect.
That's cool. That sounds good to me. I'm always interested in new documentaries because I prefer that to TV shows.
Documentaries are so easy to. There's something about a documentary in there you can just somehow it instantly draws you in. I've watched so many random documentaries in my life since I got Netflix.
Yeah. Me too.
I watched a documentary on CrossFit once. I have no interest in CrossFit.
That's hilarious.
I watched we watched a documentary on the Tower of London in bed. Do not know why.
It's cool because it's an opportunity to learn about stuff that you wouldn't necessarily read a book about. You know?
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I'll finish on last question really.
Sure.
I'm assuming, you guys ever been over to the UK yet, or not?
No, none of us have been to Europe yet, and I'm so excited to finally get a chance to go.
That was my next question. Is there anything in the pipeline?
Oh, we partnered with Avocado Booking over there, who's one of the big metal and hardcore booking agents there. So we have fingers crossed for 2018. We don't have anything definitive yet. We're hopefully should be getting more information about that in the next couple of weeks, but we're praying to get over there in 2018. Yeah. That's the goal.
Well, there's a lot, because January and February with Anti-Flag, and then you've got the rest of 2018 to make something happen.
Yep. We might be a little busy over the summer, but I think that we got some time before that. That would be good to head over there.
A little busy over the summer.
A little busy over the summer.
I will take no. Well, I'm going to take a guess at what it is, but I won't say it out loud. But could it be the last one?